to another episode of the Real Football Talk. We've been away for a short while and missed out on all the juice. But we're back, and well, Adil, how are you feeling?
Yeah, good. How are you feeling?
Yeah, much better. Happy to get that sickness out of the way, Yeah, so I'm glad to be back, even though we missed out on a lot of stuff. But yeah. It's good to be healthy. And I mean, what a week to be back on. Forest getting a great win against Liverpool. Arsenal losing points. Newcastle beating Tottenham away. Gerrard getting sacked. I mean, loads to talk about. So let's get started with the match at Stamford Bridge. 1-1. Great winner by Casemiro at the end. What did you make of it?
Equaliser,
Equaliser. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a good game. Surprised at the setup of Chelsea at the start of the game. Really surprised by their performance, really. And yeah, it felt like for most of the game, it felt even though Chelsea came into it in terms of possession more in the second half, they never really looked fluid. They only looked at it in the counter-attack. They struggled to create clear-cut chances. They played more like the away team, and United looked more like the home team. So that's not what I was expecting. That surprised me, definitely. And the main thing that surprised me was they stuck with the same formation that United had done so well against Tottenham. And they stuck to that, and the exact same tactics was what was really dominating Chelsea for that first half an hour, 35 minutes, until they took Cucurella off and went to a back four. So, I have to say, Graham Potter, I thought he made quite a few mistakes. Really surprised. I felt United, just for their first half dominance and chances, probably deserved more than a draw.
But were you surprised, especially by the fact that, you see someone like Spurs go away at United and you see them struggle, and then pick a lineup that United are gonna, how United's gonna line up with the 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, and then Graham Potter doesn't adjust it, and then obviously you have to also give him credit. He makes the change early because most people will probably wait out until half time, but he makes that decision to change it. What do you make of all of that?
Yeah, what it shows is maybe the analytics from the United game. They didn't really suss out what United did to expose Spurs, because the exact same moves was what was causing Chelsea problems. So what was giving them the dominance was, when you see the 4-2-3-1, you straight away assume the two midfielders are going to be sitting.
Yeah.
But what was happening, this game, it was Eriksen against Spurs is Fred. They're not. They're actually playing like, so Casemiro's playing not CDM, but he's there for the counter pressing, but he's still pushing on.
Yeah.
And then you got Eriksen pushing on into a 10 position too. So then what happens is the opposite side fullback is the one coming into defensive midfield. So what happens is it confuses the opposition on who's picking up who, especially in a system where you don't have wide players, and you got, like, you're playing a wing back system, let's say 3-4-2-1. Yeah, or 3-5-2 like Spurs did. Ultimately, you're gonna struggle to pick up who picks up Luke Shaw. So when the Dalot pushes on, you already have 2-on-1. But then the midfielder doesn't know, do I go across to pick up Dalot? Because now I'm outnumbered, because both Eriksen's pushed forward. And then you still got Bruno Fernandes. So then what happens is the other midfield doesn't know what to do. So he's keeping, I think it was Loftus-Cheek in. So then what happens is no one comes out, and there's always an overlap between Anthony, Dalot, same on the other side to get it. And that was the clever thing, was the fact that the fullbacks are coming into midfield on the other side. So when Luke Shaw goes in, Dallo is coming in like a midfielder, and that was drawing the attention of the tens. And so then no one was really tracking the runs of the fullbacks, Luke Shaw or Dallo.
Yeah.
And that's what was confusing. And that was the exact same problem Spurs had.
But I think, well, I mean, I don't know about you, but I noticed, like, even though he made the change and on the ball they look good for after making that change for a short while, but off the ball, like you said, I thought the formation change he made, he went into a diamond. So again, the problem was in that out wide area where they're getting outnumbered. So he did, yes, he solved it on the ball, but off the ball they were still not solved because they had the two striker. Man was playing kind of like behind them, and then obviously the diamond three.
But the difference this time was they were able to put pressure on Casemiro now because they've gone man for man in that midfield. And you see, before, either Casemiro or the fullback was always free.
Yeah.
Because they were one man short in that midfield. Because if the 2 10s go out to the fullbacks, then who's picking up Casemiro? Yeah. So at least it solved the problem of putting some sort of foot press. And so then what happened was United, which completely dominated possession in that first 35 minutes, no longer had that easy, slow tempo possession because it was a bit more hurried. It was a bit more suddenly playing it in behind and using the pacing behind of Rashford and Anthony, rather than the first half where they were just really slow build up, but just picking them off because they always seem to have an extra option.
Yeah.
I mean,
I still felt that United created the more of the clear chances and should have really kind of taken the lead and finished Chelsea off. But obviously, McTominay pulls. What did you make of the penalty?
It's a penalty. At the end of the day, he pulled it back. It's pure stupidity, though, isn't it? Because why would you anyway defend behind the man? Like, shouldn't you be side on, shoulder to shoulder at least? So you're always giving him a head start.
So do you think that was the problem? Technically looking, the problem was the fact that he wasn't side on side with the. Well,
I mean, McTominay does this all around. He's gotten away with it last season and this season where he puts his arm fully around the man he's marking, and he's very slow at tracking the runs. So the frustrating thing with Casemiro had it, and he had every single corner up until that point. So it's frustrating when a substitute comes in and an area that's never a problem becomes a problem because they try and be a hero.
Yeah.
Who he replaced Eriksen. I mean, Eriksen ain't doing nothing in defending. McTominay was not needed to do anything like he was. So I just feel like, again, those mistakes and the lack of having a clinical striker, because last few games, they've really created good chances, and like Thierry Henry pointed out, Rashford seems to blast every shot.
I was gonna say that, and Evra got a bit hurt for some reason.
Well, yeah, because he's doing that, protecting United. But it's the truth. At the end of the day, I can't remember the last time I've seen him place a shot.
But Adi, he done the hard work. I'm saying he opened it up as well, and then even then he goes for a lace. I'm like, you're gonna beat the team.
Even the one where he goes for a dink. I mean, the first touch is poor, taking it away from goal. And then you think he tries always the hardest of the. It's either a blast or something cute. But the thing is, the nuts was on.
There's nothing in between. Early on. If he hits it straight away after that touch, the nuts is on.
So that's obviously they're struggling because they don't have a prolific striker, and the one prolific guy they have doesn't want to be at the club.
That was the next question. I mean, what do you make of Ten Hag punishing Ronaldo and obviously kicking him out of that match squad for this week because of his behavior?
Yeah, I agree with it 100%. He can't compromise on you can't on your non-negotiables. We saw Arteta do the same thing
Mm.
with Aubameyang and Ozil and players like that, and you're seeing the rewards of that. If you really want to build a culture, a winning culture, a culture that is going to be successful in the future, you can't bend the rules.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad he's doing it. Whether there are extenuating circumstances, you can't treat. I don't believe you can say and just treat Cristiano Ronaldo like any old player in the sense that asking him to come on the 89th minute, I don't think that's correct.
Mm.
Personally, I don't think when you're 2-0 up in a game where you're totally dominating, to ask one of the greatest of all times to come in for injury time, I do think that's disrespectful. That's probably a bit of clever politics from Ten Hag. So was the situation kind of created by Ten
Yeah.
Hag? Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's clever politics because ultimately all the pressure is on Cristiano because he took the bait.
Mm.
He reacted. He got upset.
It gives Ten Hag the control, right? And as a manager, that's what you want. So
Let's
Ronaldo
be
kind of
honest.
played into his hand, and now obviously Ten Hag's got the power to kind of.
I think this problem has only been created because of Martial and his constant niggling injuries that he keeps getting. Because you can tell Martial is the number 9.
Number 9, yeah.
He's definitely impressed Ten Hag. That's his first choice, and he don't. And then Rashford is the project, so he's second choice. So what's happened is the injuries and the lack of injuries to Martial and the lack of goals from Rashford. He's missing really, really good chances, has created this problem. Or else I don't think Cristiano Ronaldo would have had as much of a look in as he has done already. I think Ten Hag would have had him on the bench a lot more.
Is it? Adu, let's just ask: is it time for Ronaldo to just move on? Obviously, because for the betterment of United and even for himself, just to go and get games like he wants to play regularly, is it time for him to move on?
Yeah, clearly, because at the end of the day, the club and the manager are going in a different direction where he's not first choice. And as much as his finishing prowess is
far superior,
than anyone else, clearly Ten Hag wants more from his strikers. So it's not matching up, and I think he's played it really smart, Ten Hag. And he's done the right thing, but ultimately Cristiano Ronaldo is the one who's created by reacting. He should have realized what was going on. I think Ten Hag has played it very clever, and kind of set Ronaldo up, and Ronaldo's falling for it.
Would you give credit to Ten Hag for that? Because he's getting what he wants at the end of the day.
It shows he's not as innocent and soft touch as we all think. Let's be honest, the best managers know how to control the narrative.
Yeah.
That's how you control the club. And has Cristiano Ronaldo done many things to disrespect Man United and Ten Hag? He has. He's done many things.
Yes.
So, if when you look at it, Ten Hag is kind of schooling Ronaldo on how to play these games, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's playing it too, but he's doing it in such a way where no one's picking up on it.
But even the legends can't back that. That's the great thing, because obviously all the United legends really back Ronaldo and everything he does. So even this is like, it's kind of leaving it in a way where it's like indefensible. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, and that's why you have to. Well, that's why you have to say Ten Hag has played it smart.
And obviously long term is going to benefit.
I do think Roy Keane is right. I think Roy Keane is right in some of his observations that he is disrespecting the player. Why ask the game to come up for the last, injury time of a match that you've completely cruised?
Yeah.
And it is disrespectful. And yeah, I just think played it smart.
Let's just move on. Chelsea, I mean, What do you make of them? Obviously, another game didn't look like they're fully fluid. Is it going to take Graham Potter some time to get his tactics and everything involved?
Yeah, they're not that fluid.
They don't look great. Even when I watch the other games, there's something missing. It feels like
creativity wise, that doesn't look coordinated. I think there's too much chopping and changing already, and I understand the run of games, but like every single game you're chopping, changing players. It's hard to get that rhythm, but they're getting results, and they didn't look like they're going to create a chance. To be honest with you, that penalty, even though second half they had possession and they were better at competing with United, they just don't look like they got a player that can really create anything.
Yeah. Sterling
maybe has a bit of a spark. Other than that, there's really not much threats in that team. Mount didn't do nothing in the whole game. They got a lot of quality players that didn't really show up.
They're just not performing at the moment, is it? Like none of them are really stepping up to that level that you expect. That's the biggest problem, it seems like.
And the thing is, they have been rotated their squad around a bit more than, for example, United. So you would expect them to be fresher than they are looking.
Well, they're still in the mix. I mean, 11 games.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're still getting results. I don't think Potter hasn't lost in the league yet.
No.
Or at all, I think. I'm not sure if he's lost.
I don't think he's lost at all.
So yeah, they're getting results. And we know, he's gonna get them improving and get them understanding the game and the way he likes to attack, and eventually he'll get them firing. But at the moment they've not clicked into gear yet, which is a positive because they're getting results still.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's move on. Forest versus Liverpool, where one of Liverpool's old young strikers come back to haunt them. What did you make of that game? I mean, what an atmosphere at the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trent Bridger is going to get that at Nottingham. Passionate crowd, a bit like Leeds, a lot of young fan base as well, mixed with the old. So a lot of heritage. One of the
before you carry on, just to know, Liverpool have never beaten Nottingham Forest in the league in that stadium.
Wow.
So
that is a statistic enough, and it's what we've seen from Liverpool. Also, I really am starting to question the constant changes Klopp is making. I just don't think he's helping the situation, and it's what I remember a few years ago. Pep Guardiola kept doing this in the Champions League, and he still does it to a point where he doesn't back his own system to, like, all right, so what if teams have started to suss out that you're always trying to get the false nine to create space for Salah to run into? All right, fine. Yeah. So what if teams had sussed that out last year too? And
they still have to defend against it.
Yeah. I mean, eventually you're gonna catch them out. And now I just feel like they're trying to be too cute. So what if so many teams have sussed out how you play and how you attack? It's the same thing last year, but I think there comes a point where you have to trust your system and your players. Ultimately, you have the better players. You have the players with the better ability, more intelligence. So constantly chopping and changing and trying to, be too tactical. And that's the thing. He's trying to be too hybrid with the players. I mean, is Harvey Elliott's role a winger, or is it a midfielder, third midfielder? Is Salah up front or on the right? Is Firmino a false nine or a number 10? You're changing the formation all the time.
Do you think that's the biggest problem then? Is the fact that he hasn't got a settled system or way of playing now all of a sudden, because he's trying to go from a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1?
I think the problem is they're trying to be too clever in embedding the new players they've signed. In trying to embed Nunes, even Luis Diaz to an extent, because so much of, Mane wasn't always picking up the ball and dribbling at players and cutting in.
No.
He stayed in his lane. He made the runs in behind. He was excellent on the press and excellent on the counter attack, making those runs. He helped create space for Salah. Now you got two players they've signed recently who kind of always go into the space or are looking to arrive into the space that Salah likes to arrive in.
Yeah.
You got Nunes, who's occupying the defenders, and you got Diaz, who likes to run across the from the left wing all the way into the 10 positions or those type of positions. So yeah, they're trying to incorporate and prioritize those players, but ultimately it's just trying to be too cute all the time. You're trying to make you're trying to get your midfield to do two jobs all the time. Javier is sometimes going out to the wing to give the width, especially now that they've taken Trent out of the starting lineup and Milner's in. So I just think, yeah, there's a lot of reacting, there's a lot of chopping and changing. Salah just scored the winner against Man City, played quite well.
I thought he was poor against Nottingham. He just didn't look. He just didn't know whether.
Yeah, but I think
whether to go out front or whether to go out in the wing or what to do.
Yeah, because why? Because they changed his role again. Because the next game, they put him. Was it against Fulham? When Nunes scored in the first.
Yes, I think it was Fulham.
Whoever it was. The next game they put him out wide.
Yeah,
they put him back on the right wing after he just had a really good performance, the match winner against your biggest rival, City, and then you go change the whole system again and go back to 4-3-3 and get Nunes in and move Salah back out. So where's the consistency? Where's letting the players build their confidence? Salah needs to feel like he's the main man, but it's obvious so many other players. There's so much accommodation for other players now.
Sorry, the game you're talking about is against West Ham, Matthew. But do you think he's kind of trying to phase Salah and obviously put a bit more importance in these new signings, because obviously he realizes Salah's coming towards the end of his career as well, so he wants to get.
Maybe that's the reason. It could be that he genuinely believes teams have sussed out the way Liverpool play. I'm not sure if teams have. I mean, yeah, maybe teams aren't following Firmino as much, but they don't have to, because you're playing Nunes most of the time.
Yeah.
So and funny enough, when they've started to play Firmino, suddenly Salah's become more involved in the game. He's having a lot more chances. He's missing a lot of chances, which wasn't happening as much when Nunes is the striker. So I'm not sure how much teams have sussed it out. Yeah, they've sussed it out, but when you're a good team, you will find a way to still create those opportunities for Salah, to release Salah. So maybe it is a bit of trying to evolve the team and make new superstars and rely on new players as the main players of the team and the fulcrum of the team.
Like from what you said and from what I'm hearing, it seems like Klopp has kind of given up on his own identity and way of playing football. That's what it seems like, to obviously embed these new players. But also, sorry, go on, carry on.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's given up his identity, but maybe he's trying to create it for other players.
And then, obviously, what do you make of the situation of taking Trent out of the firing line? Do you think he's just trying to get his confidence back in and then put him back in there, or what's the reasoning behind that? Because obviously he's fit now again, so he only had a little nickel.
I think the reasoning is that he's lost his confidence, and Milner did perform well against Man City. So I think it's more about merit on merit.
Milner and Gomez performing. That's why in the last game.
Yeah, and which I think players will respect, but obviously you can't deny the weakness or the lack of confidence Trent has in his defending, and you can't keep ignoring the fact that playing Harvey Elliott there isn't the same as playing Henderson or in previous year with Wijnaldum, who they all covered for the defensive weaknesses of Trent. So I think there's a bit of stubbornness there in trying to believe the issues are something else when it's not. I mean, Liverpool are struggling to create chances. They started to look good again when Yota was playing, but now he's injured. Out for a few months. So Luis Diaz is injured, who's been kind of carrying them a lot. So I'm not surprised by the result. They're struggling, and we called it a few weeks ago when we said they're the team that we're questioning about how guaranteed they are of the top four. Even though I'm gonna just out of blind honor, and I'll probably I'm sticking to my original prediction that win the title. We all know they're not going to, and we all know they are the team that's going to struggle to make it to the top four because they got too much going on.
I think they still make. I think they still make top four. I do. As I know some people are going a bit above board and stuff, but I still think Klopp and this pool they will get this run whenever they get it. They'll get a run of game together and they'll get that top four.
Yeah, I agree, but they're in the battle. It's not like before. It was like City, Liverpool, and then pick the rest.
Yeah.
2 from 4. Now it's now it's 2.
They've kind of opened it up for everybody, isn't it? Opened up that sport. That's what they're.
Yeah. Now we're saying 3 from 5.
Yeah. But what do you make of Nottingham Forest? I mean, we're saying a lot about obviously how bad they've been, but you also got to give credit to Steve Cooper and his man in Nottingham Forest.
So he's identified the problem, which was that big part of unity and team identity.
I think we just had a malfunction with the audio. Are you okay, Adil?
Yeah, this is what happens when you don't have a studio.
Have you found your identity?
Right, my laptop toppled over.
That's fine. Carry on, Adil. Sorry.
Yeah, I was saying so. Yeah, it's still a bit volatile. I'll hold it. So sorry about that. Yeah, I would say so. Basically, they've realized, Forest have clearly realized that they need to go back to basics, and the best way to get team unity, to get that cohesion, is to work on the foundations and the cohesion through your off the ball work. So now what they've become is a team that is just very compact. Pressing in the right areas, showing on the outside, not letting anything come central. And you can just see they're not really working or trying to be an attacking force. They're just taking one step at a time, and they're really going back to basics. And I think that's that's a recipe to success because they've got talent. We know Steve Cooper's an excellent attacking coach anyway. They will fix that. But right now, because of the amount of signings they have, the priority is their identity of the ball. Yeah. And it's good to see. And this is why you have to rate Nottingham Forest and rate Steve Cooper, because they clearly realize what a top manager they have.
Yeah. And they backed him. The manager, the board have backed him by giving him a new contract to show faith in him. And sometimes this is what you want.
And I think that's the thing is Nottingham Forest is a bit like Leeds. It's a different club in the sense that the fans are so loyal and to Steve Cooper that even when they were losing and getting thrashed, at the end of every game, the fans were singing Steve Cooper's name and clapping him. And I think that has played a part in this decision, because Nottingham Forest, the board know that they could get relegated, and no matter what,
They'll come
the
back.
fans will stay with Steve Cooper because of what he's done, the way he's connected with the fans, the way he's streamlined everything, has been open and transparent. You know, the fans love him. And if there was a guy who could do terrible this year and you won't get any backlash from the fans, it's Steve Cooper.
It would be Steve Cooper.
But I think he deserves it because he's a top manager, elite
Well,
level manager.
considering the great miracle he done last year for them, 100% agree. Adi, my next question to you is. What did you make of Kayoto's performance? I thought he was brilliant in that midfield and breaking the line and joining the attack every single time. That energy was crucial for them.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you wonder why they played him in the back for a couple of games. And you know, I think no, let's face, you know, Van Dijk had a day to forget in terms of, you know, set pieces.
Yeah.
As long as they go with Steve Cooper and Scott McKenna at the centre backs, I still feel they will struggle or they will give up chances because no matter how compact they are, those two defenders are Premiership level. For me, Scott McKenna, even towards the end, the one where Van Dijk had the hair and Henderson done an amazing save. The effort from Scott McKenna in marking him, it's the 89th minute of the match. You're winning 1-0 and you completely stand still and let Van Dijk just stroll into the middle of the, you know, penalty spot and have a free header. Just makes me think, you know, certain players just can't handle the pressure or are cut out for that level. So I still think, yeah, they you know, once they get forgotten the name of the defender they brought who's gone injured from the Germany from Frankfurt. So he's a very good defender. He started the season off well. So yeah, until they get him back and maybe Bowley needs to come in at some point. Yeah, I do think that is still a concern, but they're on the road to recovery. They kind of realize what they need to focus on. And yeah, they're going to be difficult to beat and kind of try and nick something
each game.
Yeah, to get back to your point, our knee was definitely causing problems all game. So
other thing I was gonna say, it seems like in the final third they're missing that. There's no connection there. That's the other problem I would say. It seems like it's very disjointed there because there was a lot of times where it broke up when they had a good opportunity to really go at Liverpool and attack them.
Yeah, because the focus is on off the ball work. They're probably not committing to runners and forward rounds, and they are playing a bit more direct and playing the ball into space rather than building up. But that's because they've gone with one attacker less. You can remember, whole season they're playing like a 3-4-3 system with wing backs. So now they've gone to the two, or they take one of the attacking players off for extra midfielder, more 3-5-2. So they're not going to be as fluid.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But yeah, good result for Liverpool, wasn't it? Not Liverpool, not N.Forrest.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the St. Mary's where Arsenal dropped points. What did you make of it? I mean, to me, it seemed like it's a bit of a last year moment where we played well and then given up the ascendancy again.
I think that's the thing with relying so much on the mentality coming from players, especially from new players. It's like it's an emotion, it's a feeling. It doesn't last. And even though I'm not saying Arteta isn't that mindset, isn't that mentality, you don't feel like it's coming from him. You can feel the shift has come from Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko. And now that effect is starting to wear off. I thought they struggled against Leeds. We're lucky with the result there.
Yeah, definitely.
And even though the first half they completely dominated, and you could just see an intensity level that just ain't there. in their pressing of the ball, in the way, it's very relaxed. It's very much trying to walk the ball in the net. I mean, a month ago, Gabriel, Jesus put 2 of those 3 chances away.
100%, yeah.
But even with him, you can see he's dropped off.
But that's what I noticed. Like not last game. I think even the game before where he played. There seems like there's this intensity, like a level drop. Like it seems like a huge because of the way he was playing. I don't know whether it's to do with the niggle or whatever, but that's making a significant difference in terms of our press and how we win that ball back high up.
And this was the first game where I felt Martinelli was not involved or threat that much like he normally is. And a lot of the games is Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus who are the ones who really put the press, who really take the ball under pressure, create those. I know Saka's been improving and he's starting to get more involved, but it's the link up between Martinelli, Odegaard, Gabriel Jesus that is really unlocking teams, that are really creating those good fast transitions.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it this game enough. And I always felt that there was a mentality problem in that first half. They scored the goal too easily. They over-celebrated. They were making things unnecessarily complicated. There's a lack of ruthlessness about them, just in the mindset, in the way
that's what I felt today. We wasted a lot of chances. And
I always thought that they might regret taking their foot off the gas, because we know what Southampton is like. Their team, once they get momentum, they're hard to combat. And definitely Arteta tactically, I thought he was very slow to pick up the changes that Hassan Hutton made at halftime, because while Southampton were playing with, the 4-2-2-2 system, they find it quite easy. They find it quite easy to kind of contain them. The moment they switched and moved El-Younesi out wide, more like a wing back. So it was really clever, because what they did was they effectively made Perrault another wing back and El-Younesi a wing back. And Arsenal never realized it, because off the ball they didn't set up or show it to be like that. So it still looked like the same system, but in effect, you look the whole second at El-Younesi was out wide.
Yeah.
And he was causing problems for Tomiyasu.
But that was going to be my next question, Adil. Is the fact that he picks Tomiyasu at left back? I just find that strange. I'm not gonna lie. All right, yeah, he done great against Liverpool. But again, Leeds, I thought he struggled. I don't think it suits him. I don't think he's comfortable on the ball well enough on the left hand side. And you got someone like Kieran Tierney, who you're not giving him.
I think it's just two potential. Well, I have two potential theories.
Go on.
Both of them could be completely wrong. Like I said, we're assuming a lot of things, but I think it says two things. One, that his right back is Tomiyasu and not Ben White.
Not Ben White, yeah.
So he's trying to get his minutes, and you can see that when he takes Ben White off. Tomiyasu. So that's number one. So clearly, he wants his. There's a concern about the influence of Ben White on the squad, and he doesn't want to upset him, and how that might damage the dynamics.
Yeah.
So clearly, it says that Tomiyasu is his right back. Number one. Number two, it also says, to me, Zinchenko is his left back.
And
he doesn't want to give Tierney those runs of games where, we know Tierney, he's all heart, all passion.
Yeah.
He's a fan favorite. Suddenly Zinchenko comes back, Tierney's got the shirt. So I think both of those things may be at play in those decisions. One of the games, I could understand it. I can't remember which one it was.
That's what I mean. One of the game against Liverpool, I can understand why you tactically do it.
I think allow Harvey Elliott playing on that side.
Exactly. I could understand that. And it worked because he won a lot of the aerial duels when the ball was going cross field. But to carry on and continue to do it, for me, it's an issue, and even the goal you can see it just easily beats him. It didn't
Well, I
really.
think it's more because he doesn't know whether he should be picking him up or not, because obviously, you know, the midfield is stretched, because you look for the goal, Perraud has gone.
Yeah,
And this is the thing, they never recognize that they've actually effectively gone 2 or 3 at the back. And even at times they're playing 2 at the back because Salisu was going so wide, like a left back, that he allowed Peru to go fully onto
push more
pinning
forward.
Ben White back. So I just think, and the thing is, they were doing it the whole second half. They dominated for quite a while before they got the goal, and the lack of reaction from Arteta surprised me. And
I
how
thought
long it took him to make the changes as well.
I
Like
thought
8-10
they
minutes, I think.
outnumbered and beating Arsenal's press on that left hand side every single time in the pretty much in the second half because of that maneuver, because of him pushing out and Salisu going. There was an extra man, so obviously now Arsenal got a problem with their press to connect because there's a free man.
Yeah, because in the first half, Saka was picking up the CDMs a lot of the times. But now,
when they switch across,
so then what they've done is Peru's going. Now Saka's have to pick him up, but he's thinking who's going to pick up Diallo.
Yeah.
So
great,
yeah, I mean,
tactical thing.
ultimately, you know, tactically, Hatzal'Hattl was very cute. And that's the good thing when you have flexible players and they execute it so well, because you can't necessarily easily tell that the formation has changed, and you can't easily tell that the players are playing because they disguised it well. It was different off the ball and it's different on the ball. So big props to Hatzal'Hattl. Bit surprised how slow it took Arsenal to, and even the tactical changes that he makes, they all seem a bit samey. Like, and Nketiah's always going to come on. You're going to always go for
Vieira is always gonna. But I didn't agree with this. Is the first time you're going to be surprised when I say this. I didn't agree with the fact that he took off Odegaard.
Yeah, Odegaard was making things happen.
Because he was the guy that was making things happen and creating those chances. So I was surprised when he took off Odegaard. Really surprised. And then Vieira came on. I thought he was awful.
Yeah, well, his intensity off the ball was terrible.
And he couldn't handle that ball at all. He kept giving that ball away. Easy passes, kept giving that ball away.
Yeah, and a couple of times it's like it took Xhaka going all the way up and shouting at him to get him to press.
Yeah,
he was just standing off too much. So
a bit of a mix-up there.
When Xhaka's your biggest goal threat, you know, maybe you could be happy with the draw.
Listen, it's got his matched his best, 4 goals, right? So
and he had another rasping shot before that goal, so he's looking good.
Listen, that was a great finish, by the way. We have to say that was a great finish.
It's a good finish with his weaker foot.
Yeah. He had one in the weekend, weekday, Thursday night, right foot. Another one now. So yeah, credit where it's due. Well, I mean, what does that mean for Arsenal? I mean, is that the pressure kind of now slowly getting to them and they're dropping off or hitting that blip?
Well, you know, they're never going to make such a jump where they're going to be, you know, that consistent the whole season. So yeah, I mean, they're still playing well. That first half, they really should have been out of sight, and it's a mentality shift. You know, you can tell. You know, maybe players are starting to feel a bit tired, maybe starting to think about the World Cup a bit more. And, you know, I think those little things might be affecting a team like Arsenal a bit more than others.
Definitely. Not a good result at all. Let's move on to the North London counterpart, Tottenham versus Newcastle. Great win for Newcastle, by the way. What did you make of that, Adil?
Yeah, again, very similar problems that Tottenham had with, you know, what United caused them. Again, Newcastle done the same thing, and I thought there's a lot of similarities in how Newcastle start fast every game. Against United, the first 20 minutes they completely blitzed United. The pressing, the energy is phenomenal, but they pay for it later on in the half and later on in the game. And they did the same thing. The first 10 minutes, Tottenham were really struggling to get out of their half. And what that did is that forced Spurs to play a bit more attacking than they probably would have liked. So what happened was Kane had to come right into the midfield line, and any time they were able to build up anything was only if Kane got onto the ball and
Played it to
played,
Son. Yeah.
Song or anyone else. But then what that forced Spurs to do was force the midfielders to be the runners. Because of the 4-3-3 formation that Newcastle are playing. So they weren't really attacking with certainly not with Emerson Royal. I think they were switching it with Sessegnon, but from the Emerson Royal side, he wasn't really joining the attack much. So that was forcing Skip or Petenko, one of them to kind of be the ones making the runs. Most of the time it was Skip. But what that meant was then also Skip is not of that caliber. He's not Hoiberg. He's not, So eventually that move is going to break down. And then you're a man less, or a couple of players less in dealing with the, attacks of Newcastle. So then, they came back into it a bit, but definitely
a lot of them were long range shots. I think a lot of them was a long range shot from Son. He did have a good chance before, obviously, Newcastle took the lead, where he tried the dink in the keeper. Good save from Pope.
Yeah, and they did have a few chances, but so did Newcastle. Newcastle had chances. Almiron was taking shots, looked decent. So
big question: was there a free kick on Hugo Lloris?
It's one of those ones where if he gave the free kick, no one would really complain about it.
Yeah.
I don't think it is, because really, what has Wilson done wrong? And why is Lloris trying to knee the ball?
I think
actually take on the striker.
Yeah, I think Lloris makes a meal of the whole clearance. I think if he just clears away however he can, instead of doing whatever he's doing, and he hits his belly almost, it looks like, he makes a meal of that whole situation, and obviously ends up with a great lob from Wilson.
Yeah, he takes his eye off the ball, and at the end of the day, this is the thing: is you're going to get that when you have Dyer in your defense. You that lack of pace is going to cost you, and it. The one time, not the one time, but Langley goes in tight on, I can't remember which player it was, but he went in tight on, I don't know, might have been Almiron, but Langley goes in tight on him, leaves Dyer kind of one-on-one with Wilson. It's a ball over the top. It should not be a defense that easily.
Yeah.
And Hugo Lloris, clearly, if he had his focus on kicking the ball rather than
the man,
just trying to get to it first, and that's how he did. He could have just blasted that, but he tried taking it around it. So yeah, I'm glad it wasn't. But if it was ruled out, everyone would be like, standard. That's what always happens.
Yeah,
goalkeepers are protected species.
So I'm glad they raised the leniency a bit more. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, you can see there's a specific targeting on grabbing and holding players in set pieces, especially corners. This weekend, a lot of penalties have been given for that. And maybe it seems like protection of keepers ain't as strong as they were doing it before. So maybe that's a targeted area.
Definitely. What did you make of the second goal? Almiron, I think, again. Since Jack Grealish has made that statement, Jack Grealish has scored one goal and Almiron has scored, I think, 4 or 5 now. So
yeah, it kind of just shows, doesn't it, what Jack Grealish is about, because why pick on someone like Almiron anyway?
Yeah, it's just not what.
Then one's come from MLS and Paraguay, I think he plays for.
Yeah,
and he's been a prodigy from day one. So yeah, he's in the form of his life. His work rate, his pressing is just unbelievable, and that goal shows was the reward of his pressing and his work rate, because at one moment he's pressing Langley, then he starts tracking back to put pressure on Sessegnon.
Yeah.
Obviously, the press comes from Trippier. Sessegnon messes it up, and ultimately Almiron is there to pick up the pieces. But that's only because he's tracking back. He's 1 minute putting the enough, closing down Langley enough that the Lloris has to chip the ball over him. Then he's tracking back to support Trippier. And that hard work ethic is nice to see. It's rewarded, and that goal was all made. You can talk about the blunder of Lloris's, kick. It was underhit it or overhit it, and you could talk about how soft Sessegnon was. I mean, talk about fouling a play. If there's ever a moment to foul a play, that's when you do it. So, a bit of naivety from Sessegnon, but the reward is the work rate of Almiron. He deserved it. And again, Lloris does not cover himself in glory, kind of diving over the ball. So, yeah.
You know, one thing I'm really happy with for Almiron or there's Eddie Howe is him. They've worked on is the added composure he's got to his game, because what I saw from last year to this year, it seems like he's a bit more composed in those clinical or in that final third. Because last year he seems to have like rushed a lot of the shots, etc., and it just didn't really seem comfortable to take the chance. Now he doesn't seem like that. Now he seems like, he can get a strike away.
And I think it's something they'll be working on with all the attackers, because Joe Linton now is a lot more composed with his striking and finishing. Before, he used to just smash the ball all the time.
Yeah.
He had a shot today that just whisked past the post, and even when say Maximum was playing, so I do think it's something they'll be working on, that composure, that end product, and they're getting the rewards for it. I mean, even you look at the composure for Wilson's goal.
Yeah. Okay.
No, definitely. You compare that to what Welbeck did against City. Which was much more easier because it's facing the goal.
It's facing the keeper, isn't it? Yeah. And Wilson's running away from the keeper.
So it's that could have easily been messed up. So it's definitely something Eddie has improved, and that you can see them confident on the ball. They got identity. They're going to be hard to beat. So they're going about things good, and the pressure's on.
I mean, great for Eddie Howe as well, and he's really proving himself, because obviously everyone had that question mark on him when he first came in, and he's proven to be the right decision. And even the way they play Newcastle and them, the amount of pressure they put onto the opposition is something that they definitely changed in terms of their pressing.
Definitely,
it's the highest in the league.
I still think the system only works because they have Bruno Guimaraes.
He's so good, isn't he?
He is the conductor. He's the guy that can't press. As soon as anyone presses in, he wins a free kick. They have got one of the better midfielders in the Premiership, and that makes a huge difference, because he is controlling games just by so much focuses on him on the press that is creating space for others, and then even when the ball still comes to him, he'll get it away. He'll pick the right pass, or he'll win a free kick.
He's big question.
Affecting games a lot.
Can Newcastle get top 4?
I don't think so. I don't think they can. They rely on their pressing and their off the ball work. I think for all their good play, they still rely on counter attacking to score goals. And this, they got a chance. Maybe more of a chance because they're not in Europe, and they're definitely a fit team. They definitely, have improved in those. I mean, the effort they put in the first 20 minutes of every game, it's phenomenal. I mean, they really do hunt, and they really do press high up, and they really are aggressive at the start of every game. So, and that's always a big sign that this is a fit team, that they're not afraid of emptying out the tank and surviving for the rest of the game. So yeah, they got a fighter's chance. I still think
It's a bit too
lack.
far-fetched, isn't it? It's too early.
Yeah.
Too early. But let's move on. I mean, City 3-1 win against Brighton. De Zerbi not still can't manage to get a win under his belt. What did you make of them? Seemed very even game in terms of position.
Yeah, while watching the game, I was surprised. Before the goals, I mean, Brighton. Brighton were the better team. Brighton were beating the press of City much better. They looked more comfortable on the ball. It's quite surprising to see, but they just don't have enough runners. They don't penetrate into the box enough. They occupy the 10 position. They have so many guys occupying the 10 position so much. And literally, Trossard is the only player who's slightly direct.
Yeah.
In their whole, yeah, I mean, they're playing all this pretty football and dominating possession without having a cutting edge. And that's their problem. So, yeah, and City realized that they were going man for man and went direct.
Yeah.
And if you want to go man for man with Haaland, well, you've seen what happened with the first goal.
Did you see how the guy just bounced off him and flattened?
Yeah, and that's what he does. That's the fear he brings.
But this is the difference.
What a kick from
Edison. But this is the difference.
Swaz coming back in.
No, but this is the difference I was telling you that Man City have this year, that they can take that game away with this guy. Any game.
No, yeah. And you can tell that obsession with the pressing and that obsession with dominating possession ain't so big anymore because they're winning without it.
Yeah. And
when you got a cheat code, why not use it? And yeah, I didn't think Bernard Silva's it was a penalty.
You didn't think it was a penalty?
Yeah, he made contact. For me, he's the player who kicks out. So he made contact with Dunk.
Well, do you reckon is it because of the 3 that happened before it that the referee kind of because there was 3 before that that kind of obviously even
the Grealish one was never a penalty. The Haaland one was the most strongest, but he did overrun the ball. But that was probably should have been a penalty.
Yeah.
Can't remember the other one, but yeah, there was a few that I wasn't convinced by any of them.
It felt like to me that's what kind of also played into the decision as well. The fact that obviously the other 3 wasn't given. And then
I don't understand because they continued the game for 2 minutes of which Brighton kept the ball, attacked, and then for them to bring it back after 2 minutes.
Well, they have to obviously wait for the ball to go out, stop a play, so the referee can go.
No, the ball did stop and the ball did go out. That's what I mean. They allowed actual play to carry on.
Usually once. And
then guess what?
Okay,
he stopped it when the ball was still in play.
Surprising.
So yeah, but yeah, I didn't think it's a penalty. But they might have deserved, definitely the Haaland one, they might have deserved it. But that effectively killed the game.
Yeah. Great finish by De Bruyne, by the way, as well, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's good finish, but I thought Trossard's was a good finish too.
Yeah. Edison was to be beaten near post. Come on, you expect that?
But the thing is, it's the way Trossard shaped up and looked for that goal. He made it look like he's bending it around the defender, and then so
snaps it across.
Done, as they say, done Edison with the eyes.
But I mean, City keep going strong even after that loss against Liverpool.
Yeah, it just seems like at home, the Haaland effect has bigger effect, and this teams are just afraid, innit? And they're not having to be so convincing. They're not having to do, if you can tell they haven't clicked into top gear, and they're still beating teams quite comfortably.
Yeah,
and it just shows how much of a difference maker having a goal scorer and a poacher like Haaland is, because you can't ever be too aggressive. If you do, one long ball and
they're gonna pick you up. And they're so good. They got so many creative players. They're so good that any of them could pick you up. That's the crazy, scary thing nowadays.
And the thing is, they're having injury problems. They're having, the Walker out, Phillips out. They're not able to.
They had their whole back line at one point, like obviously missing because like they had John Stone, Laporte, Ruben Diaz, all of them out, and they still managed to rotate around.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're not. Yeah, and they're not able to rotate as much as the other teams right now, and I think that's why that you can see the difference. They're not pressing as aggressively as they normally would. They're sitting off slightly more.
Let's move on, Adil. To the sacked manager and Villa 4-0, great win. Let's talk about that game first, or should we talk about Stevie G first? Because obviously his stats. This I want to tell you. I've been waiting to tell you this. 32% win. 32% win percentage, which is worse than Gary Neville at Valencia.
No way.
Yeah.
Yes, really. Okay.
Listen.
I mean, say the truth. I was thinking 32. It'd be worse than 32.
Oh wow!
I don't know. It just doesn't feel like Gerrard has won many games with Aston Villa.
Yeah. So, but what is the difference? Because all of watching this game and watching the Villa before, it's like day night. It's like, what's happened to them?
If ever you wanted to see players, because the thing was, there was one thing. Everyone kept going on about how much there was murmurings in the club last season about how little Gerrard actually does anything at the club, and it was Michael Beale who was effectively the manager, and Gerrard was just the guy making the final lineup decisions and doing the team talk. Now that creates problems. That creates division because he's calling shots, and you can tell for far too long he's been favouring players that have been playing poorly.
Yeah.
For far too long. Coutinho being the biggest example. So what he's doing is he's making the decision, but the coaches, and there was always this rumor that Michael Beale disagreed with some of the lineups that Gerrard was making, and so
Michael Beale's doing a great job at QPR, by the way, top of the table.
Yeah, and everyone knows that he's a Premier League manager in the making. I mean, not only is he doing a great job at QPR, but he's got Wolves, everyone after him. And when you hear Les Ferdinand before the Tottenham game today, he was on Sky Sports. And when you hear someone of the stature of Les Ferdinand, he's not someone who goes with the hype or talks the hype. He's very down to earth. He's very honest in what he says. He's trying not to follow the publicity and the hype. So when he says clear cut, he has no doubt that Michael Beale is already a ready-made Premier League manager, and that says a lot for me. So, and this is the thing I didn't like was last year. Aston Villa put out, and this is the type of club they are, and they've become, is they put so many false stories out, and they kept putting the story out that Michael Beale was stepping on Gerrard's toes and trying to be the manager and trying to take over the team, when actually no, he is running the team because that's the system Steven Gerrard created, where him and McAllister literally do nothing during the week, come in, make the decisions. Do you get it?
And take all the food.
So, yeah, and then they brought Neil Critchley in. He must be regretting it because he had a good project at Blackpool and maybe not getting the support that he wanted. But obviously now he's out of a job. So, it hasn't worked out. And if you ever wanted players to make a bigger statement about how much more happier they are that a manager has left, and you might not have heard stories, and that's the size and the reputation of Gerrard, that none of these leaks were happening and no one was talking about that. Definitely he had lost the players.
I'll tell you why there isn't a big hoo-ha. It's because of who Steven Gerrard is.
Yeah.
Literally. No, if there was any other manager, there would have been much more criticism, much more much more of a scrutiny on there. But because of who he is, that's why it's not being put a finger there. They're saying, no.
Well, no one in the media wants to be the guy to leak any stories against Gerrard. Because there'll be a backlash from the ex-professionals or whoever. So, but the players have definitely exposed it because the energy, the attacking football they played with today. I mean, but you know, Bailey looked like he was
a different
you
player.
know, he was like Usain Bolt today. He was on fire, absolutely ripping the whole game. And the football they played. I mean, this is a team that's been playing some of the boringest football ever. No creativity.
Yeah.
All they do is be physical against teams and try and bully teams and win by bullying, and you know. And then you got this attacking verve that they played with today against a team that you know isn't easy to play against. They completely steamrolled Brentford. So if ever players
that's not easy to do, is it? Like to demolish Brentford the way they've done it.
Yeah, and look, they had, you know, it's only a few days they've been with this interim manager.
Yeah.
Maybe only got one training session with him, and look at the reaction. One or two trainings, and look at the reaction. Look at the creativity, the energy, the running of the players. How happy they look. Look at the way they celebrate the goals. You can tell Steven Gerrard had lost the players. And the thing was, even at the time, I never said on the podcast, because we don't speak about it enough or in depth, but I did feel it was a risky strategy how much he kept calling out Mings, who was the ex-captain.
Captain, yeah.
You know, you don't be a captain in a club without
any power.
The players respecting you. And the amount of times he kept sticking on the players, like, you know, it's one thing saying, "Oh, I look at myself first," but they keep making excuses about the application of the players, and you know.
But do you know the Mings situation? What was annoying is that Mings accepted the decision, but it was Gerrard was the one who came and called him out in the press conference straight after. So he kind of took the fight to him for no reason, even though Mings was trying to squash it and move on. He's the one that called out saying, "Oh yeah, what's it called? Once he looks into my eyes and says it, then he can play." And obviously backfired with Diego Carlos getting injured.
Yeah, and this is the thing, you know, there was just too much going on in the background at Aston Villa, and you know, like I said, the players definitely made a statement about how unhappy they were under Gerrard. They may not have had leaks because Gerrard had discipline to a T.
Yeah.
But now you can see what happens when players definitely voiced their opinions on the pitch today.
Yeah. Let's move on. The other one, Leicester 4-0 win against Wolves, who just seem to be going downhill. I mean, they sacked Bruno Lage. They tried getting in Michael Bill, who rejected the offer. What's going on? Because obviously there's a lot of clubs out there for managers now.
Well, the two things to say about it is obviously the matrimony with George Mendes is not as strong because they're not going for any of the Portuguese managers that he's recommended.
Yeah.
Like
at one point, Nuno Santos was back in the picture.
Yeah, or even Amorim, who's done really well with Sporting Lisbon and looks like another, you know, potentially good Portuguese manager. So yeah, them going for Michael Beale kind of showed they're not playing to the beat of George Mendes anymore, and that's why all these rumors about Ruben Neves potentially leaving and things like that is happening, because you can tell that maybe on a boardroom level they're fed up with the whole George Mendes controlling the whole club and the signings and the managerial, and it hasn't worked out. At the end of the day, it's you know, I was surprised they got rid of Bruno Lage when they did, but you could tell there was issues there. He wasn't happy. He's done the same thing at Benfica, where he's always talking about out, and he, you know, struggles to accept his fault. So, but at least have someone in place. So, you know, normally you expect Wolves to be quite efficient the way they operate. So yeah, they're getting exposed. And Leicester have done the same thing. They're going back to basics. They're trying to be solid off the ball again, more defensive, less expansive, and that's creating their chances.
Is there a
Well,
cause
goal
for
from
concern
Tielemans.
though? Yeah. Oh, goal of the month. Is there a cause for concern for Wolves potentially going down, or are they one of those ones that too good to go down?
I think it all depends on who they get as the manager. They definitely aren't too good to go down. Ultimately, they haven't got a striker. They've gone to quite old and player hasn't been playing to a high level in Diego Costa. Jimenez is injured. Neto is injured. They have a lot of problems, and the biggest thing was they sold Conor Cody. The guy was the most influential figure at the club, and the way because it's so hard to create team spirit when you have so many players of a Portuguese thingy, and because he was such a good leader and such a good captain, it was never an issue. It was never ever a problem at Wolves while Conor Cody was there, because he was such a good captain. That divide never got created, never happened. And as he got pushed out, then the cracks started to appear. You're giving the captaincy to Neves, the Portuguese, who's the manager's Portuguese. So then you can start seeing the spirit, So yeah, they probably did not value the importance of leadership as much as they should have. The importance of having local people, or not coaches, but big players leading or being a big influence on the club in terms of the identity. That's huge. They bring something to the game. They might not bring technicality, but they bring the passion, the heart.
And it's not like you're talking about a bad defender, too. Cody is an international.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, everyone's going on like he can't play in a two-man. Four-man, four at the back system, and he's doing it at Everton with Tarkowski right now.
Yeah.
So it's just, they probably never realized that how much of an impact that would have on the team, on the squad, and they're struggling. They got good players, but they need them on the pitch, and they need a manager who knows how to get out of this situation.
Last one before we wrap it up. What do you make of Fulham? 18 points from 12 games. Do they have a real chance of staying up this season? As Marco Silva got something that's finally gonna keep Fulham up, and instead of being a Euro club.
Well, it's the manner of the performances, manner of those results is they were learned. They're not like smash and grabs. They're not, or they're actually outplaying teams. They're actually, at least level of competing and then having the end quality. They're playing good football. They're committed to their attack. They're really pressing hard. They're tactically, making slight adjustments. It's a well-oiled machine right now. And Marco Silva has got them playing well, and they're there on merit. And I think they might have a bit of a situation like Brentford, where they go majority of the season getting like up to 30 points, getting close to the 40-point mark.
And then having a bit of a hiccup.
And then a bit of a dip, because mentally that edge is gone because they think they're already there. That might happen, but either way, the football they're playing is much like Brentford, a breath of fresh air. And they're bringing something to the league.
Definitely agree. On that note, Adu, as always.
You must be happy with the Arsenal legend scoring as well.
Arsenal
brilliant.
What? Forget it, Adu, man. Forget it. Arsenal legend. I was thinking Arsenal legend.
Yeah, I know how hated he was, so I thought I'll put it out there.
He loves. I don't know about something about Fulham. He got 4 assists against them, so but yeah. On that note, Adil, on that bombshell of Arsenal legend scoring for Fulham, and United legend getting 2 assists. Let's wrap it up. Thank you for watching, guys. As always, please make sure you like, share, subscribe. Please leave your feedback of what you think of the games and what your views are. And if you have any questions for us, do let us know. Thank you.